What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Saturday, January 17th, 2026, and we are back with another live here on the Torian Rain Reloaded channel. If you have not done so already, please be sure to go ahead and hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you are new. And if you are new to the channel, I'm glad that you are here. Be sure to hit the bell twice to be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live, or join the Discord, and you will be receiving the notification in there. Shout out to all the members, all the mods, everybody over there in Patreon, and of course everyone in the Discord. But before we get into everything, let me acknowledge those who are in the chat now or who came in earlier. We got Mansa Musa, Hurricane Nisi, Firebat, Wallow J, Anita Harrell, Reparations Nation, SD Johnson, Dark Titan Next, Don P, Zavon, Dimple Face, B First Is, Mahako, and Nini just popped into the chat as well. Shout out to you. But shout out to those who are here or those who will be coming in relatively shortly as time continues to go on. So we have quite a few things that we're going to be discussing today. We got quite a few videos that we're going to be looking at. So it's going to be a mix between articles and videos, stuff that came out this week. Some stuff I had to reach back maybe about a month ago and like last week, but most of it is this week. But we're going to go ahead and get into it. Now, of course, you know, I always like to start off if there's any like positive videos, I usually start off with that. But unfortunately, I don't have any positive topics to discuss this week. But there are some unfortunate news that did happen because there were 4 of them in particular. And we're about to go over all 4 of them now, starting with this one. So in case y'all haven't heard, Claudette Colvin, who was the person who refused to give up her seat on a bus at the start of the civil rights movement, passed away at the age of 86. Now, of course, many people are more familiar with Rosa Parks because she was the one that was more, famous for what she did later on. But Claudette Colvin, for those of you who are unaware, actually was the first one. And she was a teenager when this happened. And I guess I don't know what the reasoning as to why they didn't push her story out there like that. But unfortunately, they didn't but later on, people found out who she was and her story. But she passed away at the age of 86. So definitely RIP to this woman. She lived a very long life. I'm sure she had several stories to tell about that encounter on that particular day, way back when. But like I said, I wish her story would have got pushed more, but you know how it goes. So we're going to kind of go through these kind of rapidly. I'm not going to read too much into it. The next person that we unfortunately that passed away was John Forte, who was attached to the group The Fugees. As we all know, we remember The Fugees back in the day, pioneering R&B and hip hop group from back in the 90s, helped propel Lauryn Hill and Wyclef Jean's career to where it's at now, especially Lauryn Hill. But he passed away at the age of 50. This is how a musical prodigy went from poverty to Fugees to prison to Martha's Vineyard. And that's a picture of him right there back in 2013. And he passed away in Massachusetts at the age of 50. He had he was married and he had a daughter. And he passed away at the age of 50. Oh, listen, I was a huge Fugees fan back in the day. I was a huge Fugees fan back in the day. That Fuji La song played endlessly in my ears. But then when they came out with that album, oh my goodness. Yeah, but the Fugees was a huge part of my youth back in the 90s. I keep telling people the 90s is the golden era of everything. It just is. And I don't want to hear nothing else about it. Sure, we had other eras and everything like that, but it was something about that 90s that just worked. So RIP to him. Now, the next person I'm going to talk about, now this is more someone from my era. Some of you may or may not know who this person is, but y'all remember the show she was on. So this young lady by the name of Kiana Underwood, she used to be on Nickelodeon. She used to be on All That back in the day. Now, let me tell you something right now. All That, Kenan and Kel, Figure It Out, Are You Afraid of the Dark, Cat Dog, Rocco's Modern Life, Legends of the Hidden Temple, Dare, Double Dare 2000, all those shows back in the day, those were a huge part of my childhood. For those of y'all unaware, all that was literally the kids' version of Saturday Night Live. So that used to come on what was called SNICK. SNICK meant Saturday Night with Nick. And they used to have all these shows, and it would be All That, Kenan and Kel, and it was a couple of other shows that were in the lineup, and it would run like in a 2-hour block, like from 8 to 10. And then after that, Nick at Night came on with the throwback shows. See, this is so nostalgic for me, but unfortunately, she lost her life at the age of 33 from a hit and run. Yes, Doug, Hey Arnold. I mean, I could go down the list. The Amanda Show, like that block, Rugrats, that 90s block that was like the early 90s to like the mid 2000s was a good block for television shows for kids. I would say that's like the last big part between Nickelodeon and the Disney Channel. Yeah, the Wild Thornberries. But definitely, Firebat, you ain't said nothing but a word. Cousin Skeeter. Rocket Power. Yep. My brother and me. A lot of people forgot about that show. Shout out to Savion for the 2. He says those shows back then had a good black cast. They did. And you had TLC, who did the theme song. See, that was back in the day when they had R&B and hip hop artists do theme song for kids shows. You had TLC do the theme song for All That. You had Coolio do the theme song for Kenan and Kel. You had 702 do the theme song for Cousin Skeeter. If you want to take it off of Nickelodeon, you had, for those of y'all who don't know, for the show Half and Half, which was on UPN, that was Shanice. And it was Shanice, and it was somebody else. I forgot who it was. And ironically, Shanice was married to Flex, who was on Half and Half. Yeah, but those were the days. I felt so much nostalgia just to mentioning that. Yet married to Flex, and to my knowledge, they're still married to this day. But yeah, I just wanted to go over that. But it feels like there's one I know I said that there was 4, but I feel like there's I feel like I'm forgetting one. Oh yeah. Oh, I know why. So y'all know I had to, and yes, it was a one-on-one, not half and half. I got the 2 mixed up. So y'all know I had to play it for this one. So yeah, Scott Adams has kicked the can, y'all. It was only a matter of time. I mean, when I kept seeing these reports saying that, with his health deteriorating and all of that, it was only a matter of time. So Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, dies at 68. And man, the black people on Twitter, myself included, who called it what it is, the usual suspects, they were mad at us with what we had to say about him. They was like, how dare you say these things? How dare you? And all this, that, and the third. And they, I reposted that quote that he made talking about black people and, talking about get away from black people and this, that, and the third. And you had the usual suspects up there coping hard. And I mean, they were coping hard. They probably still under that post now, still going at it. And I don't care. I do not care. So yeah, he has gone to his creator, from that advanced stage form of cancer that he got diagnosed with back, what was it, last year? He actually stayed a lot longer than many anticipated, because many thought he was going to be out of there by the end of the summer, and he made it all the way to 2026. So he said he told white people to get the F away from black people, and well, nature took its course and gave him exactly what he wanted. So, I mean, no need to read it more into this. It is what it is. So I just wanted to start. Yanni said you didn't know that he died. Well, now you know. There it is. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's now get into the main topics. Starting with this one. Ted DiBiase Jr., the son of the $1 Million Man, accused of siphoning millions from Mississippi welfare programs, stands trial. And hold on, let me stop sharing right quick, and I'll have to bring it back up. It's doing that thing again. I don't know why it does that. He's attached to that stuff that's going on with Brett Favre, by the way. I think that's where all of this is stemming from.
Investigation into the Department of Human Services was sparked by a tip from a whistleblower. Former pro wrestler Ted DiBiase Jr. is now on trial. Federal prosecutors allege he received millions of dollars tied to welfare programs through sham contracts for services never provided.
A jury selection has been underway all day long. 16 WAPT's Ross Adams has been at the federal courthouse covering the developments. Ross, what charges is DiBiase Jr. facing?
You know, Ted DiBiase Jr. is accustomed to taking on opponents in the ring as a wrestler, but now he's facing perhaps his toughest opponent ever, the United States government. Now, according to this 13-count federal indictment, the former wrestler, who now lives in Madison, is accused of conspiracy and wire fraud. Prosecutors say DiBiase conspired with former State Department of Human Services Director John Davis, as well as Nancy New, the founder of New Summit School, to fraudulently obtain more than $3.5 million in federal welfare funds intended for needy families and low-income individuals. The list of potential witnesses has more than 80 names on it, including former Governor Phil Bryant, State Auditor Shad White, Jackson business owner Jeff Good, and Marcus Dupree, former NFL player and Mississippi State football standout. Now, jury selection has been intense and thorough. The judge questioning potential jurors about pro wrestling, how they feel about that sport, and whether they can set aside any personal feelings and listen to the evidence and make a decision in the case based on the facts, and not how they may feel about DiBiase. A jury selection at this hour remains still ongoing more than 8 hours after it first kicked off this morning. The judge has already excused 26 of the 80 members of the jury pool who were summoned to the courthouse this morning. Of course, they have to get that magic number of 12 jurors and 4 alternates. For now, we're live at the federal courthouse in downtown Jackson. Ross Adams, 16 WAPT News.
All right, so you hear that right there, and I see it in the chat. We know whose face and name is missing from that lineup. Brett Favre. Oh, Mr. Williams, they didn't forget about Brett Favre. They intentionally left him off. Brett Favre, they are letting that string along as if we're going to forget. And they continue to let this dude get on social media and talk like we don't know what he did. The thing is, people know what he did and his involvement. He's a huge part of this, and they keep bypassing it. This reminds me of Rick the Snake Snyder, the former governor of what was it? The former governor of Michigan, the one that was involved with the dirty water up there. Everyone around him got charged and arrested or had to pay fines and whatnot, but he was the only one who was able to escape that unscathed. That man was able to get out of office and not have not one charge levied against him. He didn't spend not one time in jail. He didn't pay not one fine. He didn't face not one consequence for his involvement. He sat up there and lied and said, "Oh, I didn't know this was going on." You're the governor of the state. How do you not know what's going on? You knew what was going on. You were you were a huge part in why all of that went down. So this is playing out, as far as Brett Favre goes, this is playing out just like that. Like, they have a huge part, a huge face that they could attach to it, and all the evidence is there, but they're refusing to go after them. They're going to go after all the underlings. But they want to sit up here and talk about what privilege is and isn't. I present to you Exhibit A through Z. Right. Remember, Dimpleface, remember last week we was talking about Brett Favre having Parkinson's. They want to highlight that. I know what play they're trying to go with. Let's talk about him having his Parkinson's so we don't have to go after him and throw him in because that's going to somehow hinder his health. This is another amount of allegations that they're not beating when it comes to welfare fraud. If you look up the stats, PC leads extremely high in welfare fraud cases and convictions. But let's move on now from one crazy story to an even more wilder one. I don't know why I did that. Hold on, y'all. Actor Timothy Busfield turns himself in amid child abuse allegations. Let's talk about it. It's looking kind of spooky out there in White Hollywood.
Tonight, Hollywood star Timothy Busfield ending a days-long search by law enforcement by turning himself in to New Mexico police. The actor now charged with sexual contact of a minor and child abuse. Busfield speaking to TMZ as he surrendered to authorities.
I'm going to confront these lies. They're horrible. They're all lies. And I did not do anything to those little boys. And I'm going to fight it.
The actor was a staple of primetime television for decades.
What are you working on?
Best known for his roles in The West Wing and 30-something, and movies like Field of Dreams.
When did these ball players get here?
According to court documents obtained by NBC News, the alleged abuse happened on the set of the Fox series The Cleaning Lady, in which Busfield directed and acted. Brothers featured in the show told their therapist when they were 11 years old about inappropriate contact from Busfield on set, who they referred to as Uncle Tim, and that it began when they were 7 years old, according to the affidavit. One of the boys alleged Busfield touched both his genitalia and bottom. The affidavit alleges that the behavior went on for almost 2 years. When asked by investigators if he ever had any physical contact with the boys and if he ever picked them up and tickled them, Busfield said it was, quote, highly likely that he would have, later saying, quote, I don't remember overtly tickling the boys ever, but it wouldn't be too uncommon for me. Tonight, Busfield's lawyer saying his client did not do anything wrong and denied his client was on the run, telling NBC News, quote, he was across the country and had to travel by car to New Mexico, adding he wants to turn himself in because he wants to clear his name and reputation. Busfield's wife, actress Melissa Gilbert, known for her role in Little House on the Prairie, deactivated her social media after the accusations came to light, telling NBC News she stands with and supports her husband.
Chloe Malas joins us now live. And Chloe, tonight Busfield remains behind bars?
That's right. Tomorrow, Busfield is expected to appear before a judge who's going to make the decision, Tom, as to whether to keep him in custody or release him.
All right. So there you have it. Now, you know the usual suspects ain't going to talk about this. But what's crazy about it is that while this is going on with him, they mentioned his wife, Melissa Gilbert, because when I was looking up the video that y'all just watched, something else just came out probably a couple days after the whole situation. Check this out. Timothy Busfield names wife Melissa Gilbert and the Cleaning Lady cast and crew as potential witnesses in child sex abuse case. And of course, I can't read the whole thing because it's attached to a paywall. But I'll just read what it says right here. It says Timothy Busfield filed key documents for his defense after being formally charged in an abuse case, hitting back at the state of New York, Mexico's motion to hold for him for pretrial detention and sharing a list of potential witnesses that included his wife, Melissa Gilbert. I'm bringing this up because many of y'all probably didn't even know this was going on because, of course, you know everything that's been going on social media lately, more so on YouTube. B versus why those maps not be linked with those alphabet soup mess. I almost forgot about the maps. You know, they haven't mentioned maps in so long, but I remember when they first brought that to our attention, I was like, what in the world are they talking about? What is this? You said save the web page and read it from there. I think I got all that I need. It's some wild stuff going on. Like I said, we don't call it Holly Weird for nothing. And speaking of Holly Weird, we're going to stay on that same trajectory with this next story. And this is talking about a person that many of us knew about in our youth. Daniel Stern. For those of y'all who don't know who Daniel Stern is, he's the actor that played Marv in Home Alone 1 and 2. Well, he's in hot water right now. And if there was a chance to try to revive his career with this new show, that got derailed because it says Daniel Stern X's ABC pilot, Do You Want Kids? After misdemeanor charge, role will be recast. So you know this is a big deal if you have to leave the show and your role has been recast. So let's find out what's going on with Marv. Daniel Stern is no longer a part of ABC Comedy's pilot Do You Want Kids, starring Rachel Bloom and Rory Scovel. Deadline has learned the network and producing studio from the 20th Television will be recasting the series' regular role to which the Home Alone alum was signed for in December. The dismissal comes days after Stern on Monday was charged with a single misdemeanor charge of engaging or agreeing to engage in prostitution. He initially had been cited by Ventura County, California sheriff deputies on December 10th for allegedly soliciting a prostitute at a Camarillo hotel. His case was scheduled to be heard Tuesday in Ventura County Court. The arraignment has been continued and will now take place February 6th, TMZ reported. If convicted, Stern could face up to 6 months in jail and up to a $1,000 fine. So that's pretty much it. So basically that's what happened. He was out there trying to buy him some. Michael said he got caught in the movie and in real life. Yeah. Devilface said a slap on the wrist. Well, because it's like it's prostitution, that will always be seen as a misdemeanor. Of course, unless of course you do something that will upgrade it to a felony. Because if you look at the FBI crime stats, prostitution is way down on the list for charges that you can get arrested. I mean, as far as a priority. It's not even in the top 20 offenses. It's like in the bottom, it's literally near the bottom. I would say that prostitution is near the bottom of crimes that people get charged for. It's very, very low. So I'm not surprised that if he gets found guilty, then he'd only do 6 months and $1,000 fine. So I'm not surprised by that. Like I said, if he actually did something to harm the person, then it would be elevated, of course. Timberface said that's because they're doing it. Well, you got a point there because we don't know how it would have turned out if it was a black person. If Daniel Stern was a black actor doing this. So you do got a point there. But that too, prostitution, before we go on to the next thing, is also something that PC leads in as far as soliciting goes. Well, not soliciting, but for, I guess you could say, for purchases bought, rather, I should say. So let's now move on to the next story, and this is more of an update to a story that I actually talked about. I want to say, I can't remember exactly when. It was a couple months ago, but we're going to play it out. And in case y'all don't understand the story, we have this individual by the name of Nikita Casap, and he took out both of his parents in order to raise funds or to get funds, probably from an insurance policy, in order to travel across country and get supplies so he could take out Trump. I kid you not. But for those of y'all who need an update, here it is.
Now admits to shooting and killing his parents. This is part of a plea deal, but as Waukesha County reporter Brett Lemoyne discovered, there is a chance this case isn't over yet.
Did you use a handgun to shoot her and kill her?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was that your intent, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
18-year-old Nikita Casap told a judge Thursday he killed his mother, Tatiana Casap, and stepfather, Donald Mayer, last year in their village of Waukesha home.
What is your plea to that charge, sir?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Casap was set to go to trial in March. This week, he filed paperwork to change his plea to guilty. Prosecutors had a mountain of evidence against him. Investigators say Casap killed his parents and hid their bodies under blankets and pillows. He took off in a family vehicle loaded with cash and jewelry from the house and drove around the country with the family dog. He was arrested 2 weeks later in Kansas.
I believe he's a danger to the community.
District Attorney Leslie Basie says she was surprised Casap changed his plea. By doing so, prosecutors dismissed and read in other charges like hiding a corpse and theft. The homicide charges alone carry mandatory life sentences.
In consulting with the family, they were in agreement that this is a fair offer.
At sentencing, the judge could consider extended supervision after 20 years.
Certainly, I don't think he should be out in the community, and I would argue against that.
There's also a possibility of federal charges. Investigators say Casap plotted to assassinate President Trump to, quote, save the white race. So far, no additional charges have been filed. Family members were present in court Thursday via Zoom. We did reach out to Donald Mayer's mother earlier this week by email, but we haven't heard back yet. Reporting in Waukesha, Brett Lemoyne, Fox 6 News.
You want to know what got me when I first watched this video? Was that last part. Yeah, Dimple Face, that part. When he said that he plotted to take out Trump to, quote unquote, save the white race. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, you just took out both of your white parents and you was going to go travel to take out Trump, who is a white man. How does that work? Like that, when I first read that, I said, wait a minute. So help me with the logic of all of this. Because that doesn't make any sense. It's not like he took out or he went to, say, maybe take out a person who was non-white. He took out both of his parents who were both white. So, and then was traveling across country with the attempt to take out Trump. And his reasoning was he wanted to save the white race. He should be locked up just because of that alone. Exactly, like that was his reasoning. They're literally reading off his reasoning. I bet you, I see someone like me, I could not be in the position where I have to read these type of documents, especially ones like this, and get to something like that, because I wouldn't be able to take myself seriously. I would probably start chuckling because I don't get it. I don't understand it. Like, what in the world? What kind of logic is that? Yeah, and they like to call themselves high IQ. But you know what? I bet you Matt Walsh didn't talk about this. I bet you Matt Walsh didn't talk about this when it first happened. All the people that got so upset with when people said something about Charlie Kirk and what happened to him, why didn't they talk about this? I tell you, they don't care about each other. They don't. Look at how they did the whole Renee Good situation. That tells you right there how they feel about each other. They don't care. But let me move. Speaking of ICE, I actually got two stories involving ICE. Now, this one I had to actually reach back to December with, and I wish I had known about this when it first came out, because this puts it into so much perspective. This puts it into so much perspective. It says Noam's rush to bolster ICE's members means applicants who can barely read or write are being accepted. Yeah, because I guess in their eyes, we don't have to read in order to arrest somebody, nor do we need to know how to read in case we might have to use our firearm. It says Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, another person who shouldn't be in a position she's in, rushed to bolster the number of ICE agents on the streets means applicants who can barely read or write are being accepted, according to a new report. With the goal of hiring 10,000 new deportation officers by the end of the year, and by the way, this was in December, what the Homeland Security Department appears to be cutting corners, according to an investigation by the Daily Mail. We have people failing open book tests, and we have folks that can barely read or write English. DHS has expanded the applicant pool by ending the age limit on ICE agents and is working on getting new hires on the streets faster with a shortened training period of 6 weeks. ICE recruits are required to go through medical and drug screening and complete a physical fitness test. Remember that pitiful fitness test that Dean Cain tried to do? And he went through that so-called obstacle course. And the next picture we saw of him, he had his arm in a sling. It says we even had a 469-pound man sent to the academy whose own doctor certified him not at all fit for any physical activity. At 469 pounds, I'm surprised he can actually get out of the bed. This is an ABC News report from October also said that some recruits failed drug tests or had disqualifying criminal backgrounds while already in training. See, this is the type of story that they don't put out there. Like, look at who they're hiring. And this is going to lead and segue into the next video that I show. In one incident reported by the Daily Mail, a recruit asked to be excused from class because he had a court date for a gun charge. DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin told The Independent the vast majority of new officers brought on during the hiring surge are experienced law enforcement officers who have already successfully completed a law enforcement academy. This population is expected to account for greater than 85% of new hires. Prior service hires followed streamlined validation, but remain subject to medical fitness and background requirements. And whoever said that Kristi Noem looks like she just got a fresh injection, yeah, it looks like she definitely has got that. She just left a Botox convention. McLaughlin said DHS has received more than 175,000 applications from quote-unquote patriotic Americans. I want y'all to notice that not only am I highlighting that phrase, but they also quoted it. Oh, my bad. I clicked and went back. My bad. But we know what they mean when they say patriotic Americans. We know what that's code for. I still have yet to see a black ICE agent. I'm going to be honest with you. I have yet to see a black ICE agent. It says the critical coverage of ICE's hiring process comes as federal agents are under scrutiny for their tactics in the field. Last month, a federal judge banned immigration authorities from firing tear gas and using other riot weapons during protests in Chicago unless such force is objectively necessary to prevent an immediate threat. Authorities in Colorado are investigating an incident from late October in which an immigration agent put a protester in a chokehold, according to Durango Police Chief Bryce Current, who spoke with the New York Times. So, yeah, they think they slick when they be saying patriotic Americans. We know exactly what they mean when they say that. We know exactly what they mean. But remember, I said that I wanted to share that first because that's going to segue into this story that just happened. And shout out to KG, because if it wasn't for him on his members only, and if you're a member of his channel, you saw this. But this incident right here involved ICE and this black family out of I think it was in Minneapolis. I think that's where it was. Let me make sure I got the right one. Okay.
Learning new details about what the Minneapolis Fire Department saw and faced when responding to the ICE shooting last week that killed Renee Good.
The newly released documents come after one of the violent clashes sent an infant to the hospital. ABC's Olivia Rubin has the latest.
I can't breathe. Despite calls from local leaders for peace and to turn down the temperature, clashes between protesters and federal officers not letting up in Minnesota. Federal agents deploying tear gas on crowds, urging them to leave.
Stay off federal property or you will
In one distressing scene, a baby hospitalized after a family's car was hit with tear gas. According to the Minneapolis Office of Community Safety, the agency saying the 6-month-old had difficulty breathing.
The ICE agents came forward and they were like lined up with their mace.
The Jackson family says they were driving home from their son's basketball game. The gas grenades setting off the airbags in the car, trapping them inside. Bystanders opening the doors. That's when the family says the baby wasn't breathing.
Having to get my baby like mouth to mouth and people like pouring milk all over my other kids. I thought I was dying, honestly. And the way I felt, I could imagine how my kids felt because I'm a full-blown grown adult, you know, so I just knew that it was even worse for them.
We've reached out to DHS for comment on the incident. Tensions flaring since the killing last week of Renee Good. Good was found, quote, unresponsive, not breathing, according to a Minneapolis Fire Department report. That report saying her injuries included 2 apparent gunshot wounds to the right chest, 1 apparent shot to the left forearm, and 1 possible gunshot wound to the left side of the head. The report saying officials moved Good away from the vehicle to get away from the escalating scene involving law enforcement and bystanders.
And now an attorney for the Good family has sent a letter to the federal government telling them to preserve evidence here. In part, they say to ensure that that evidence is not destroyed.
So there you have it, right there. This is the family right here that got affected by it. Now, remember, they were not at the protest. They were on their way home from their son's basketball game, and they got caught up in all the mess that was going on their way home. And ICE agents shot a tear gas canister toward their vehicle that affected their 6-month-old baby, the one right here, and he had to end up being hospitalized. Thank God that the baby is okay. But you want to know which is more crazy about this situation is look at the post that the Department of Homeland Security, who is the one who is over ICE, said on Twitter. Now, it reposted from the leading report. It says, breaking, some Minneapolis protesters are showing up with their babies as shields from law enforcement. Look at how they phrased that. They were not going there with their children. They were trying to get home and got caught up in it. Then you have the Department of Homeland Security reposted and said, do not bring your baby to a violent riot. And by the way, I don't know who's running the DHS Twitter account, but it is like when I say age doesn't define maturity, this is exactly what I mean. But they said some really off the wall stuff for the last almost year now. And people had to go and correct what they said. But as you can see, the post is still there. It was put up there on the 11th. There was also some other incidents that happened involving ICE. There was another one, and some of y'all may have heard about it. It was a guy who ended up getting into it, or ICE got into it with him so bad, he ended up getting blinded in one eye. It was another one where this guy, he ended up, ICE got into it with him and they ended up ripping his shirt. And I think they did something to his phone, or they destroyed the phone or threw the phone or something like that. This is what happens when you give people like freedom to pretty much do whatever they want, because they're going to take that and run with it. That's why I started with that story first from Christy Noam, when they said that we're hiring those who can barely read or write and those who have pending charges. They're basically hiring criminals. But let me move on to this next story. We only got 2 more to go, y'all. So did y'all hear about this nonsense right here? When I saw this, I said, I'm definitely going to bring this to the family. Now, this right here is absolutely ridiculous. Venezuela's Mikado gave Trump her Nobel Prize. In return, she received a swag bag, but no promise of support. And here's the picture right here. Because y'all know how bad Trump wants that Nobel Peace Prize. So the first lady of Venezuela gave Trump her Nobel Prize, which, by the way, you cannot just give your prize away. It's earned and it's given by a committee. You just can't give it to anybody. And then what was crazy is I saw that cult on Twitter talking about no one deserves it more better than our President Trump. I'm like, he didn't earn it. What are they talking about? This right here might be just as bad as the FIFA committee. You know, the ones over soccer, the FIFA committee. Remember that last year? Who gave Trump some kind of prize, some kind of the FIFA Peace Prize, the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize. And people was like, what is this? And you had them same sycophants on Twitter saying, man, nobody deserves this more than our President Trump. I cannot take this administration seriously. Exactly, D Wood, but want to complain about DEI. I got to read into this because what is a swag bag? What's in this swag bag? When Venezuela's opposition leader Maria Corina Machado walked into the White House on Thursday, she came bearing the gift U.S. President Donald Trump has long coveted, a Nobel Peace Prize. Machado, a fierce critic of Venezuela's former strongman Nicolas Maduro, won the award last year for her campaign for greater democracy. Now she was leaving the medal in the White House, hoping the gesture might buy her something far more valuable: U.S. backing in the fight to lead Venezuela's post-Maduro future. So there it is. That's why she did it. But if she thought the gift might nudge the president toward providing clearer endorsement, it appears she may be left waiting, at least for now. She was later photographed holding a Trump-branded swag bag as she left the White House with little clarity on her political future. Machado is one of two figures vying for the leadership of a post-Maduro Venezuela. Oh, so I had it backwards. It's not the first lady. This is someone who wants to be in that position. It says Trump has chosen to work with longtime regime insider Delcy Rodriguez, who is now acting president. A photo released by the White House shows Trump beside Machado holding a large gold frame plaque that appeared wall-ready, containing the medal and the dedication, presented as a personal symbol of gratitude on behalf of the Venezuelan people in recognition of President Trump's principled and decisive action to secure a free Venezuela. She was Jada Informant. She was sticking right along with her husband. Maria presented me with her Nobel Peace Prize for the work I have done. Such a wonderful gesture of mutual respect, Trump posted on Truth Social. The Oslo-based Nobel Peace Center promptly reiterated that the medals cannot be shared or transferred. A medal can change owners, but the title of a Nobel Peace Prize laureate cannot. Meanwhile, a handful of Norwegian lawmakers reacted with dismay over Machado's move as Trump threats of a U.S. takeover of Greenland, a semi-autonomous Arctic island and territory of the Kingdom of Denmark, continue. Raymond Johansson, a former Oslo mayor with the ruling Labour Party, called the move unbelievably embarrassing and damaging. The awarding of the prize is now so politicized and potentially dangerous that it could easily legitimize an anti-peace prize development. Kirsti Bergstø, the leader of Norway's Socialist Left Party and its foreign policy spokesperson, called the prize giveaway absurd and meaningless, according to Norwegian broadcaster TV2. Machado told Fox News that handing over the medal was a very emotional moment and justified her gesture by saying simply that Trump deserved it. The fact that he even accepted it is worse. If he wanted to make himself look good, which apparently he doesn't like to do, he would have said, no, I decline. I would rather earn it. But the fact that he took it now, at this point, like someone said in the chat, they cannot talk about DEI and throw that on black people anymore. Because didn't they say that DEI meant didn't earn it? Can't that be applied to him because he took that? Because he didn't earn it. It was a huge responsibility because I did it on behalf of the Venezuelan people. Mercado said in an interview with correspondent Rachel Campos Duffy, a clip of which aired Friday. Mercado remained unequivocal in her ambition to steer the South American country through a peaceful transition of power. I want to serve my country, she said. I believe I will be elected when the right time comes. So basically, again, she's doing this to think that this is going to be her getting to be president of Venezuela. The first woman president of Venezuela if it doesn't happen. Mercado had earlier called her meeting with Trump historic and extraordinary, said the U.S. administration understood the need to rebuild Venezuela's institutions and protect human rights and free speech. You want to know how else I know that he's not America first? Because not only did he accept this offering, but it's from a person that wasn't even in the States. This woman is in Venezuela. But the same people on Twitter are going to be saying America first this and America first that. She also insisted Venezuela already has a president-elect, Edmundo Gonzalez, the opposition candidate the U.S. previously recognized after the country's disputed 2024 election. Government-appointed electoral authorities had named Maduro the winner, allowing him to cling to power until his abrupt capture by U.S. Special Forces. But at the time, opposition leaders, as well as the U.S. and international watchdogs, voiced concerns about allegations of foul play. Y'all, this is a straight up joke. Imagine doing that though, because I don't give her no grace. Imagine doing all of that and you still don't become president of Venezuela. And even if you do, now people are going to be looking like you didn't even get that, because now they're going to think that the U.S. had some involvement because you gave Trump what he wanted, which was this. I don't know what to say. Let's move on to the last story. Now, the last story is a video, and it's about 7 minutes long, and it's involving this individual by the name of Jonathan Gorlock. The title of the video is, "Who is the man accused of robbing graves and selling stolen human remains?" Man, listen.
And tonight, we're also learning more about the man who is at the center of this case, a man his friends say was just a normal guy. CBS 21's Maxine Rose continues our team coverage and joins us live in Ephrata. Maxine, what did they tell you?
Alex, today I spoke with a man named Trevor Poole. He spoke with me over video call today from his home in Williamsport, but of course we are outside the home right now where investigators have been searching through for the past couple of days here. What we know from Trevor Poole is that he was a former friend of Jonathan Gorlock, and he says he met him through the music scene.
Good people can do bad things.
The more than 550 charges filed against Jonathan Gorlock is not adding up for former friends like Trevor Poole.
My reaction is it seems like something like psychosis of some sort. I just wonder what I guess would say triggered him.
Poole says he met Jonathan Gorlock around 2010 while playing at shows with his band called My Hearts of Fear. Poole says Gorlock also joined a band called Road to Milestone as a lyricist and vocalist, and both of their bands would often play at shows together until around 2018.
John was like one of my closer friends that I would hang out with, have brewskis with, and chop it up with outside of the shows. It would always just be him and I talking about, our beliefs, and he's a very empathetic guy. Like, he was always a good dude.
For someone in the heavy metal community, having an interest in oddities doesn't exactly come as a shock, Poole says. But Poole also says Gorlock never even mentioned being into it at the time.
Honestly, like he was very to himself. As far as like social media goes, it seemed like he kept it pretty minimal.
His Instagram page confirmed by documents for a search warrant. It says, quote, "The 533 accounts and pages Gorlock is following revealed an abundance of accounts referencing skeleton collections, corpses, taxidermy, human skull store, oddities, and bone museums. But another alleged Instagram page of his shows more.
I think it was just kind of, it blended in. I guess my overall take generally is I never, ever would have expected him to do something like this.
And that is just a little bit of what we know so far about Jonathan Gerlach. But of course, we are actively working to find out more about those who may have known him recently, more recently, I should say. And officials have been releasing information every single day. We are staying on top of this, and we'll give you the latest as it comes. Reporting in Lancaster County, I'm Maxine Rose, CBS 21 News.
But a horror movie come to life. That's how detectives describe this Lancaster County home. And just today, authorities removed some disturbing discoveries. A man named Jonathan Gerlach is being charged after more than 100 stolen skeletons were found here. We have team coverage on this story today with CBS 21's Lily Sexton piecing through the search warrant and Maxine Rose speaking to a former friend who is shedding light on the suspect's past. It's 5:30. I'm Alex Thill. And we're now learning Gerlach was allegedly selling some of those human remains. So let's get right into it. Lily, what evidence did police have against him before this arrest?
They had been collecting evidence against him for a while now. They were able to get physical DNA evidence from the scene of where the graves were robbed. They also were able to collect information from his social media, where he's being tagged in people speaking about buying and selling these human remains from him. They also said that Lancaster police got a tip. This was all explained in the search warrant. They received a tip from someone that remained anonymous saying that a family friend that she heard through the grapevine that there is a hanging human corpse in his basement. And that did end up being true after they were able to execute this search warrant.
Wow. And Maxine, speaking of those friends, I know you were able to talk to someone who says they knew Gerlach. Does his friend say he was like this before all of this happened, or that there was any indication something like this would happen?
Yeah, so just to be clear, too, I mean, this friend was not mentioned at all in the search warrant, although I do know that there were some names in that search warrant. We reached out to those people and did not hear back. But as for this former friend, he says that there was no indication that he had even any interest in oddities or collecting these sorts of things, at least to this extent, right? He explains that he was kind of into this kind of scene, but never, again, really showed interest in doing something like this.
And Maxine, how does that friend feel now knowing what's coming out about him?
I did ask him that question. You know, he speaks really highly of him, at least when he was friends with him years ago. He said that he just, you know, good people can do bad things. And that really stuck with me because it's interesting. You know, I think everybody is trying to just wrap their heads around the situation, and knowing him at an earlier stage when maybe they were closer with him or got along with him. It's just interesting to see the way things have in a way changed now, but you know, they're still trying to see the good in him.
Absolutely. I want to bring it back to Lily really quick. Lily, how long did this investigation last? When did it start? Do you know those answers?
It first started early November. That's when he's accused of robbing the gravesite for the first time. And since then, he has returned multiple times, or he's accused of returning multiple times to rob even more graves at this historic cemetery, each time leaving behind tools and sometimes leaving behind DNA evidence. So police have been collecting evidence and building a case against him for a matter of months now, since early November.
Wow, interesting stuff there, Lily. And I just quickly want to go back to Maxine before we move on. Have you also been able to parse through his social media pages, Jonathan Gerlach's? What do we know there?
Yeah, so in that search warrant that Lily is talking about there are a few accounts that are mentioned, Facebook, Instagram accounts. So we know that he had some personal accounts there, but we also know that there is another account people have sent to us that allegedly belonged to him, that had multiple pictures of skulls and bones on it that he seemed to have been either buying or selling, something of that sort. So we'll talk a little bit more about Trevor, the friend's reaction to all of that next at 6.
Oh, well, thank you both.
Wow. That was something. That is crazy. That is insane. And yes, shout out to Mr. Williams, because he was the one that informed me last week about this. He said, Torian, you definitely got to talk about this. And I said, okay, I'll look into it. And when I came across that, that's why I wrote that comment in the chat. I said, I'm just waiting for the Netflix movie / limited series / special / documentary, whatever. Because I have a feeling that in a few years, that's exactly what's going to happen. Like this dude, like, and I saw the Ed Gein comparisons in there. That's a good comparison. He's like the modern day Ed Gein, and here we are thinking we'd never have to see or hear about someone like him ever again. And boom, here comes this degenerate. Like we always say over here, well, like how I say, they're not beating the allegations. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. But y'all know what time it is. It is time for the link to be dropped in the chat and allow y'all to come up and say what y'all want to say. I put the timer on 3 minutes just in case y'all want to speak about more than one topic, but it's on 3 minutes nonetheless. We covered quite a few things today. Quite a lot of things today, honestly, if you ask me. All right, of course, we know who's coming up first. Wallow, what's going on?
What's going on, Torrin? What's going on, everybody in the chat? When did you see that notification that I sent you in the on Discord? You saw while
I had saw while I was playing.
Yeah, I saw that like 15 minutes before you went live. Yeah, somebody popped him in the back of the head, so he'll be all right. But yeah. I want to send my condolences out to all who passed away, especially the girl that died, Miss Underwood, because I remember her. She also played in the animated series. Remember Little Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was also in that too, and that cast, like you said, Torian, that era from the early 90s. I'm gonna go all the way to probably about the late 2000s. That Nickelodeon era was unmatched. Like you just couldn't like that, and then them and Disney were going head to head. So for me,
oh, you definitely.
Yeah, so for me, seeing someone that you basically grow up watching no longer here, and that you're like the same age, it's sad and it's scary at the same time. Also, them ICE agents, y'all know y'all wrong for doing that to that family. Y'all want to antagonize black people when we ain't got nothing to do with them. I'm glad that child is not gone from this earth. I hope that child gets healthy and the family gets healthy too. But the decline of America is gonna call faster because of that. Leave innocent people alone, especially innocent black people alone, and I'll land there.
Appreciate you coming up. All right, next up we got Denzemus. What's going on? I just saw what you put in the chat.
How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Oh, that's great. So I just want to say that last story. Oh my God! Why didn't our ancestors why when they came on the continent, they asses should have been scalped. They should have been scalped. And yeah, we wouldn't have to be dealing with their asses. But I wanted to say something about them ICE agents real quick, and then I'm gonna just land. So I find it very insulting that they're talking about the ICE agents are Nazis and all of this shit because of what's happening to them immigrants. And granted, I do, as Black Americans, we do have hearts. We do feel sorry for the asses, but yeah, I want to ask these people: do you not know the history of this fucking country? Like, the Nazis got all of this shit from their asses. So what the fuck are y'all talking about? They learned how to be. They learned how to be the biggest savages on the planet from the people of this country. So, like, I don't know what else I don't know how else I can articulate that to these people. Y'all chose to come to the original the original of Hitler's greatest. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say.
No problem. Thanks for coming.
You won.
And before I bring up the next person, I'm gonna add on to what Denzemus was saying. I just wanted him to get his point out. What if and this is just a theory that I have, and it literally just popped up in my head as I was listening to the story involving that family. What if ICE, the gateway, was initially to go after illegal immigrants, but their end game is to be used against the people? Really digest that, because there's always a foundation of something. It always starts one way, but then once you give them a little bit of a push or a need, then it starts to turn into something else. Like, we always question, why did they put the National Guard in certain places if all they're going to do is have trash and do trash duty? I'm gonna say is this: just keep paying attention to how ICE operates these next few months. Just pay attention to how they operate. And remember the story that I went over before I played that video with that family in Minnesota. They can barely read or write. They said, when the part that got me, that says barely read or write English, because if they can, and that's a barely read or write English. So are y'all hiring people where English is not their first language? Which means that's kind of contradictory if you're hiring a quote unquote immigrant to go after immigrants. Then you have people on there who have pending charges. They said one of them couldn't even finish because he had a court date. All I'm saying is this: what if the foundation was to go after illegal immigrants, quote unquote, but their end game is something much more nefarious? I wouldn't put it past them. But let me bring up the next person. Mr. Williams, what's going on? And thank you for sending me that story. Like you said, you told me I was going to be wide-eyed with that, and wide-eyed I was.
I seen that on my feet. I'm like, what in the hell? Then I seen the update. I'm like, on the ceiling, bruh. But anyway, I want to hurry up and get through what I had to say. Also, TK Carter passed, if you've seen that.
Oh yeah,
and
I meant to talk about I meant to talk about him last week because he passed last week.
Okay, and the brother, he was the crooked politician in The Wire. He always said she.
Oh yeah. I talked about him.
Okay, I don't know if I watched you last week. Also, when y'all was talking about the shows from back in the day, I kind of grew up. I was born in '78, so I grew up with the Saturday morning cartoons and Nickelodeon. So, but I don't remember her. It was probably after I probably was fading away from Nick.
Yeah, you was probably like in your teen years around that time. That was more for like people from my age who was like, because I was born in '89, so I was still very much. I was in elementary school when that was on, so you was probably more like in high school. So you probably did fade away from that.
I think Doug Funny still came on. I don't know. I can't remember. I won't talk too long, but I put in the chat a little update on Mr. Mike Jeffries, so he is fit to stand trial. So yeah,
good.
Sometime in 2026, but it looked like his lawyer is still trying to procrastinate. Sonia Massey's, or what's it, Sean Grayson decision will be this month.
Yeah, and I think the Carmelo Anthony trial is probably going to be sometime this year too. I don't know when, but I think that's
I have to check that. I have those saved in my little reading list in Google, so I can keep them in my head. And Rodney Hinton won't be facing death penalty. I'm still wondering where's this. Long story short, I'm still wondering about the witnesses that said there's a lady driving. That just completely disappeared. Yeah, and yeah, unqualified ICE agents. I'm not surprised, and you may be right about what the end game is too.
Yeah,
so,
I wouldn't be I'm gonna say that's just my theory. I'm not saying that's definite, but
that's all they've been doing.
But when we listen, as Black Americans, we know the history of this establishment and we know how things work, and we see things people don't see. That's why they push back against us, because we're telling the truth. But see, the thing is, take the whole Renee Good situation, for instance. They didn't see it from a perspective until they saw one of their own get popped the way they did. Now they see it. And see, the thing is, unfortunately, it has to happen that way. You have to see it in order for you to believe, like, oh, you know what? They was right. Well, clearly we was right the whole time, but you didn't want to listen to us. But then you want us to go out there and rally. It was like, no.
Right.
Like, if you would have listened to us before, you probably wouldn't be in this position right now.
Phil has said the same thing. also, and what was I gonna say? And Lisa brought up on how they've been really brutalizing white women.
Oh yeah, they going
And
after at this point. They've gotten the marching orders to go after any and everybody they deem to be a threat. So now it's like no color barrier behind it. They say if we just deem you as a threat, we're going after you. So yeah.
Well, here's the problem with that. And Phil said this, you're gonna come across the person on the wrong day who is okay. All right.
All right, appreciate you coming
Yep.
up. But yeah, like I said, people better get their mind right. We warned you. That's one thing that they cannot say that we did not do. They cannot say that we didn't warn them. And Wallow, yes, we see that you're happy. You got your first buzz of the night. Uh-oh. I'm laughing because I know what's about to happen. Jonathan, what's going on?
What's going on? What's up, man? Oh God, my bad. I was flexing. Yeah, just wanna send my condolences to Nickelodeon star that passed away, and John Forte who passed away at 50. I didn't get a chance to get the full story on him because I came in late due to health stuff at home. But yeah, Ted DiBiase, I remember him as a wrestler, you know, and I'm not surprised that he would have anything involved with this, and then he with his son, you know, to pick up his antics. I mean, his name was Money Man as a wrestler for a reason. The man was he was starving for the money. And that dude that was doing that edging shit. Why he had to share the same name as me? That's what bothers me. Jonathan Gerhall. When you said that name, I was like, whoa. I was always on something, but you said Gerhall, and I'm like, then I listen to what this man has done, and I'm like, I feel change my name. So yeah, this whole thing is just sad, and I just don't know what this world comes to. All I can say is that we need to pray and and hope that we can like get through this. But yeah, this just shows you that the PC people ain't no better than us, and that's all I got to say. After you finish watching this game, I'm done working out. Peace out.
Appreciate you coming up. Wally, you didn't get your wish. You wasn't even close. He tapped out at 1:17. All right, next up we got Mansa Musa. What's going on?
What's going on? Can I be heard?
I can hear you.
All right, cool. First of all, I want to give my condolences to Kiana Underwood and what's the other woman's name? Claudette Coleman, you said?
Yeah, Claudette Colvin and John Forte.
And John Forte, yeah. I did see his name credited on the Score album with the Fugees a few times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the album. That's the album. I couldn't think of it as like I saw the album cover, but I couldn't think of the name of it. The Score. That is such a good album.
Yeah, I think that was their only album at the time.
Yeah,
I believe it was like 96. Yeah, so
96.
Yeah.
That's the song that has that's the song that had "Killing Me Softly" on there.
Yeah, it has "Killing Me Softly" on it. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Condolences to those three individuals. Absolutely. Let's get into the. Gotta get into the. On a lighter note, let's get into the other thing. Oh, it's great! Such a great day today. The president is here. It's such a great day today. I finally got the Nobel Peace Prize from the what's her name? Machado, however you pronounce her name. She's here today. I've actually invited her to the ballroom. The ballroom will be finished by next week. We couldn't get Charlie to come to the ballroom, unfortunately. He couldn't come. So rest in peace to Charlie. We wanted him to come first. So I finally got my Nobel Peace Prize. And guess who else will be at the ballroom? Maduro and his lady would be at the ballroom as well. Involuntarily, of course. Involuntarily. They won't be there by their own choice. It'll be a great day. It'll be so great. That's so great. Great day. Absolutely. Well, I'm trying to figure out who the hell is out here robbing graves. What the fuck? What? Come
and
again?
The thing when they said you gotta think 550 charges. That means that's how many graves he robbed. That's how many bodies he dug up. 500. That's basically a charge per grave. Like that's crazy. That is
How the hell you find the
insane.
time to do that?
Listen, that's what I'm trying
to.
to. That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Hold on. Let's just act up. You hear me?
I can hear you.
You hear me? You hear me? It's starting to act up. My. Look.
I don't know what's.
Yeah,
I can hear you, but I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, my shit acting up. It's all good. I just want to tell you that you're all welcome to the bar room when the bar room is finished.
You crazy.
Uh-oh. It's acting up. I'm gonna go ahead and bounce. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go. All
right. Shout out to Mansa Musa for coming up and giving us his best Trump impersonation. And before I bring up the next person, that's most likely going to be the last person. Did y'all see that this guy had called Trump? He called him a PDF files, I think sympathizer or something along those lines. He was a Ford worker, and he ended up getting fired from Ford. And then people started a GoFundMe for him, and he raised like $300,000 or something like that. Well, I think they ended up shutting down the GoFundMe. And then someone else had said something about or to Trump at that same thing, and Trump gave him the finger. Like I said, I cannot take this administration seriously. But let me go ahead now and bring up the last person of the evening. And of course, y'all know I gotta play the intro.
Heed my command and reclaim these relics of hatred.
Hurricane Niecy, what's going on?
Good evening, Tori and my family in the chat. I want to echo what you said earlier from Denzimas.
Mm-hmm.
As you were reporting everything, I'm thinking the same thing with these ICE agents. They want FBA in them streets so damn bad.
Yep.
And we done told them, I don't know how many times, but Torian, this is for the first time. I mean, with everything that has gone on, I'm gonna be honest, it frightens me. It does. So I would land with this. Family, have your power tools at the ready. Because what happened to that family in Minneapolis, that was sickening. But
and the response was even worse because you saw what I showed on and by the way, that's the official Department of Homeland Security Twitter account. That's not a bot account. That is ran by somebody in the administration, and they put out there that, in so many words, if you don't want stuff that, like, why do people bring their kids out to a protest? And the thing is like, the family wasn't out there for the protest. If they were, I would hope that they would have been responsible enough not to have their kids there, but they were on their way home from their child's basketball game. They just got caught up in all of the madness because they probably that was the only way they could use to get home. And they just saw them and just threw a tear gas canister, and it landed underneath their vehicle. And it got, of course, into the car, and it got into the baby's system. It thus making the child have to be hospitalized.
Oh Jesus!
I hope they sue the city and them for that.
Well, we don't have a government. We just have lawlessness amok.
Yeah.
I'm gonna land there, baby. You have a blessed rest of the weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right, shout out to Ms. Niecy. She rounded off all the panel. And shout out to everyone else that did come up and speak. Shout out to Savion and Jay, the informant. Oh, I didn't know her trial was. Listen, I forgot all about this case. But you said Courtney Clinton's her trials this year too. It's a lot of trials happening this year. It's a lot of trials happening that we're gonna be on the lookout for. But yeah, it's getting spooky out here. But I want y'all to hang on to my theory about, I think that the foundation of ICE was to go after these immigrants. But I think at its core, it's going to be something else. It's leading, and it's starting to, I think it's starting to unravel now. You're starting to see it unravel. Because I said, I bet you that's the direction that they're heading in. Because nothing ever just stays where it's supposed to be. Because again, like I said, I still question why the National Guard was sent out here near me. Like I see them literally every time I get ready to go into work. I always see them, and they're just walking around. They're not bothering nobody. They just there either in the train station or outside the train station, just walking around, and like it's nothing. They don't be bothering nobody. People walk past them, almost like they're not there. But anyway, y'all, we about to end the live right here. True Crime Sunday coming tomorrow at 6 p.m. Well, the pre-show will start at 5:40 p.m. and it will start at 6 p.m. of course over there on Rumble. I already have the window up for that, so y'all can go ahead and be sure to turn the notifications on for that, because that will be occurring tomorrow. And that's pretty much all. With that being said, y'all enjoy the rest of your evening, the rest of your weekend. True Crime Sunday coming tomorrow. Be safe, stay warm, but most importantly, be one.